Dr. Hoyle, how do you think the coronavirus will affect the sales industry?
So this coronavirus situation we're in now will obviously it is dramatic and impacting all aspects of our lives. How it impacts the sales profession, I honestly don't see it as being a negative. Excuse me, because in my life I've been through several, albeit none as catastrophic as what we're in now, but issues that have been dramatic. The 2008 downturn, there was a lot of people saying the demise of the sales industry was coming. But again, there is a need for the sales profession because now there's so many problems that those sales professionals get out there, and if they really listen, the customers will be clamoring for help, so to speak. So I see it as, albeit it's going to take some adjustment to how the salesperson or sales professional meets and addresses those and listens and figures out. I don't see a negative impact of this virus on the sales profession. I see it as a positive impact to see how you can be listening to your customers, building those relationships, because there's going to be a tremendous need for some innovative solutions. The status quo is gone now, and the status quo has always been the biggest challenge to the sales profession. So now it's not going to be business as usual.
And kind of as a follow-up, what do you believe the long-lasting impacts will be on, the sales profession?
So the long-lasting impacts of this, I think, again, if we look at the positives, so it's going to, those skills that one needs are going to have to be honed better. Excuse me. So I think it's going to be really accentuate that need for building relationships, empathy, that empathetic listening. How do we get into and again, this will be from Carew. We've got a great resource in the Carew training, but they use the term odds are. We're going to have a tremendous opportunity to get into our clients' odds are. What's their life look like? What are the points of pain, which are going to be tremendous? But I think the long-lasting impact is the skill sets that the professors teaching, we may be taking them, or maybe I should refer that for myself. Maybe we've taken those soft skills maybe a little too much for granted. So we're going to have to build those or accentuate those more in this new environment. The empathetic listening, the creative solutions, the innovative solutions. So we're going to have, as much as we have to get into our customers' odds are, we have to really get into our odds are and see how do we do things differently as a sales profession.
I guess as the final question, what skills do you think the sales students should work on to develop to make themselves more marketable in a post-COVID-19 world?
So what sales skills should students really hone going forward in this new
sales,
world?
Yeah, I was going to say sales or technology or any skill that you think they should work on developing.
So that's really a very appropriate question, obviously, in this environment. One thing we've seen, so there were a tremendous amount of sales competitions scheduled for after spring break. And what has happened is there's been a tremendous pivot. They're all taking place, but in a virtual environment. So again, like we're doing this now, I think the sales student or the sales professional has to get comfortable with adapting to, being flexible with having distance meetings, whatever platform you're going to use. You have to be skilled at it, not just having the meeting, but how do you still have a effective substantive meeting? How do you still have something where you're building those relationships, asking the appropriate questions? So how do we make that virtual meeting just like a face-to-face meeting. Again, in many of our classes right now, there is a uh, virtual setting that you can take place of. It's called Rainmakers, and it's based out east. And they're basically the sales student is selling to a bot, and they get used to how to um, deal with this new technology. I know a lot of our students have grown up with the technology, and we may figure they're comfortable with it, which they are. But now we're just going to have to figure out how to make that more relevant, more part of your everyday life. That's one skill, I think, getting used, comfortable with a virtual setting with meetings. Not that I think face to face, when it comes back, is still an ultimate um, desire at some point in time in the process. You have to meet, look in the client's eyes, have some sort of face to face conversation. But again, I think that's one skill set. Another is that is this idea of introvert, extrovert. We might initially think extroverts are the more successful in the sales world, and that's research has not proven that at all. The introvert sometimes is perceived as someone who might not be, they're not getting it, so they're not involved, so they might not really know what's going on. But in reality, they tend to be those that are really processing, listening. So I think those introverts are going to, those skill sets are, they have to realize they've got that skill set. So they may have to figure out how do you express that. You have to let your client know you're expressing that. So those are a couple other skill sets. Just looking at some notes here as I'm thinking. So building relationship, comfortable with technology, the empathetic listening, and I'll refer back to Carew. Some of our skill sets, some of the sales classes refer to several concepts. One is the LAIR process: listening, acknowledging, exploring, and responding. I think that really, really comes to play now, because you're going to have conversation with clients that are really, really struggling, and they're looking for you for some guidance. So again, how you respond is really going to be critical. So uh, when you're going to get a lot of, or I believe there'll probably be a lot of anxious conversations. Some might be sharing a lot of symptoms, right? And you're going to have to use that to drill down to see how can I really help you? So I believe those are some of the key skills. I mean, which we've always emphasized. I just think now they're going to be more at the forefront. And again, I'll allude to back probably as recent as the 2008 crash. Sales profession. There was a study uh, that went out. It was done by the Conference Executive Board, which is now part of Gartner, and they were kind of surveying how's the sales profession doing in the midst of this catastrophe. And there was a group that said, "Oh man, it's a jungle out there, right? It's tough. We can't really make our a quota for this month." But there was this segment that was just plowing through. They were kind of challenging their prospects to think differently, right? Look at things differently. They were challenging their clients as well as themselves. We see that right now in every aspect of industry. We got automakers making ventilators. We've got I saw one perfume manufacturer that has shifted to making hand sanitizer. So again, just looking at things differently, taking a pause and a calm, proactive approach. Sometimes that reactionary, short-term, knee-jerk reaction is seldom the ticket for long-term success. So again, in the light of there's going to be some immediate short-term fixes that need to happen, but we need to put that in context of what's the long-term picture look like. And again, we know this long-term picture is subject to disruption. And again, another comment, when I say disruption, that might bring Dr. Christensen from Harvard Business School, the late Dr. Christensen. He just recently passed of normal causes. But his whole emphasis, disrupting innovation. Again, that was the disruptors by choice of technology and such. But now the disruption has been an external focus. So I think those same policies or same processes still apply, probably at a more micro level now.
Well, all excellent things, excellent advice. Is there anything else that you would want to share before we end this?
So I would just like to share with the students and the practitioners to, even though we're in a time of uh, a challenging time, to look at the positive side of things, as challenging as that might be. But again, we could look back through history, those innovators or those uh, inventions that came through, they usually came at a time when things were probably not ideal to the economy wasn't right, the timing wasn't right, but this new idea broke through. And so I think we will survive. And I think this challenge, and I don't want to make it sound like this is a good thing to happen, but it's happened. Now we got to deal with what we can control. We can't deal with what we can't control. So I think as a sales professional with your clients, that's what you have to keep them focused on, because they're going to be looking for some guidance, and we can be that really that centering component to help them uh, ease those fears and calm them down and move forward in a positive way. So I think the future is great in a post coronavirus world in any industry, and we're going to need the sales profession to help carry that message to the prospects and so forth. And even with our own companies, we're going to have to challenge them to figure out how we meet clients' needs, because they're going to have maybe a new set of needs. So I guess be positive and moving forward, even though there are challenges. There's challenges in the sales profession. It's fraught with a profession where we get no's all the time. So now we just got to put that in our toolkit and be ready to handle this challenge that we have moving forward.
Thank you for your time this morning, and good luck.
You too. Good luck to all, and thanks for this.